You're listening to the Astromommy Daily Horoscope, a forecast that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in the Astromommy community. Without further ado, here is the Daily Horoscope. Sun moves into Scorpio and the lunar eclipse in Taurus approaches. Depth, passion, and survival. Weekly forecast for Monday, October 23rd through Monday, October 30th, 2023. Good afternoon, friends. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the weekend's horoscope video and had a chance to watch it on YouTube. In the beginning of that video, I shared with you all a very important update for the newsletter. If you hadn't had a chance to watch it yet, you can watch it by clicking here. In a nutshell, the update for the newsletter is that I have decided to expand my repertoire of writing horoscopes by starting a regular weekly forecast and weekly 3-card spread starting this week. I did this a couple of weeks ago while my family was visiting and received a lot of positive feedback about the format. By looking at the transits that are coming up in the next week, the format gives us a better chance to prepare for what we will be dealing with than I believe the dailies do. I still want to do a daily check-in and card reading for the day though, so because I don't want to officially start anything in the middle of eclipse season, I have decided that the week following this last eclipse weekend, I will start to post a daily written post, pulling a card for the day and relating it back to the transits discussed in the weekly forecast for that week. The weekly forecast will be available for all tier levels, but the daily check-in and tarot card draw will be for my paid subscribers only, creating a nice, intimate little inside group. To start, the dailies will be written only, so if you are not subscribed to the written newsletter and only the podcast, and you'd like to receive the daily check-ins in your email, make sure you update your subscription preferences to include the Astromommy newsletter. If it is feasible, I may add a read-aloud podcast version of the dailies in the future, but I'm not sure. I will, of course, have to make some changes to the podcast introduction and whatnot, so you can expect to hear these changes over the next couple of weeks as well. My hope is that these changes will free up some of my time to write other content that will be interesting, including more horoscopes for all 12 signs, etc., and that the weekly overview will be more helpful for you all to be better prepared astropeppers. So all that to say, for this week, I have decided to post a weekly forecast today for the next 8 days, going from today, Monday, to next Monday, plus a lunar eclipse special post with horoscopes for all 12 signs for the lunar eclipse in Taurus on Saturday. That's the plan. Then the week following, I will post a 7-day forecast on Mondays with a 3-card spread for that week, available as both a written and podcast post, and then begin to do the daily check-ins and card draw written posts next week. I hope all that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions by replying to this newsletter in the comments, or you can send me an email to astromommyastrology@gmail.com. Last but not least, the lunar eclipse is happening on Saturday, October 28th, and here is a link to Time and Date's website where you can watch it online. Okay, let's get into the astrology. All times are in Eastern Time unless mentioned otherwise. This is a big week in that we have the sun ingressing into Scorpio today, kicking off Scorpio season, the lunar eclipse in Taurus on Saturday, and then on Sunday, Mercury conjoins Mars in Scorpio. We start this week off in between eclipses, so the energy could feel very overwhelming, wild, and unpredictable. This is normal for eclipse season, so we have to just ride the waves as best we can. But first, as always, let's talk about the moon this week. The moon starts the week out in the detached, intelligent, and social sign of Aquarius and moves into the adaptable, compassionate, and psychic sign of Pisces on Tuesday. Then she will ingress into the courageous, willful, and self-focused sign of Aries on Thursday and stay there until the weekend, when she will make her way into the pleasurable, solid, and stable sign of Taurus for the lunar eclipse weekend. Next week, the moon starts out in Taurus but quickly ingresses into the curious, witty, and mischievous sign of Gemini on Monday morning. So let's look at this by mode and element. The work week is fixed air, mutable water, and cardinal fire, social, emotional, and inspired action. The weekend is dominated by fixed earth, pleasure, stability, and security driven. Next week starts in mutable air, so there's a social butterfly aspect, which feels perfect for Halloween. Now we'll go over each day of the week and touch on the most important transits for that day, and then we'll do a 3-card tarot spread for the week. Monday, October 23rd, 2023. The moon. On Monday, the moon will be in Aquarius all day, so there is a tendency to be detached emotionally, but still social, intellectual, and rational. I like to think of the Aquarius moon kind of like Captain Spock from Star Trek, but Jim, that's not logical. Everything needs to make logical and rational sense on Monday, and you may find yourself and others coming from this mental space. Aquarius is also a fixed sign, meaning that it has the capacity to execute endurance when required. Steady repetition comes easy when the moon is in a fixed sign. It's like riding a bicycle. The cardinal signs get you going, the fixed signs keep the pedals pumping, and the mutable signs apply the brakes and get you ready to go off the bike and do something else. With any fixed sign, the motto is slow and steady wins the race. With Aquarius, we are dealing with applying our mental intelligence to problems within our communities, our environments, and our relationships, and we are able to analyze the data sets with ease and detached objective truth. There is a real emotional stability in the Aquarius moon energy that, as a Pisces moon native, I highly admire. The transits. A hidden conjunction called an antesia between Venus and Chiron perfected on Sunday night, so there could be some underlying emotional things that are sort of playing in the background on Monday. Maybe there are some areas in life where you are feeling vulnerable or wounded, and they may have a lot to do with either Venusian topics like love and money, or Chiron topics like sacrifice and healing. So be aware of this going on in the background on Monday and Tuesday. The sun enters Scorpio at 12:20 p.m. Scorpio is a purifying, focused, driven, and emotionally intense sign that embodies the character traits of being ambitious, persistent, determined, and magnetic. Now that the sun is in this sign, the next month will be focused on the depth of feelings, thoughts, and actions. We are now in the underworld, and nature is starting to decay. The leaves are starting to rot, and we are in the falliest of fall. Intense colors of Mars and of blood surround us: reds, oranges, yellows, browns, and blacks. In the afternoon on Monday, the moon in Aquarius will perfect a square to Uranus in Taurus retrograde at 3:04 p.m., symbolizing a sudden, unexpected thing that may happen that sends you on a little tailspin. Could involve technology, could involve science, could involve your family, but it is unpredictable, electric, and shocking energy. Tuesday, October 24th, 2023. The moon. On Tuesday, the moon will ingress into the sign of Pisces at 4:32 a.m., so the energy will change on Tuesday from Captain Spock to Jack Black, who actually has a Pisces moon at 18 degrees, by the way. We are no longer relying on logic to make sense out of things, but instead using our intuitive guides, intuitive hunches, and intuitive feelings to show us the way. Pisces is adaptable, compassionate, and spiritual, and oftentimes denotes very creative, artistic, and musical individuals like Jack Black. With the Pisces moon influence coming in on Tuesday, you and others around you may feel more creatively inspired, spiritually in tuned, and emotionally driven. The transits. At 3:13 a.m., the sun in Scorpio perfects a trine to Saturn. The sun trine Saturn in water signs could herald in the feelings of steady accomplishments. The path is clear, and it contains clear steps along the way. This could also symbolize having good relations with older males, solar figures, or authority figures. Saturn is in the superior position and is offering guidance, responsible structures, or helpful limitations to the sun. Feels like focusing the sun's light through a metal barrel, creating a flashlight. After the moon ingresses into the sign of Pisces, she conjoins Saturn at 5:34 a.m. and then makes several successive trines, first to the sun, then a few hours later to Mercury, and then in the evening to Mars in Scorpio at 6:57 p.m. Multiple trines from the moon in Pisces to all the planets in Scorpio, with Saturn in close proximity to her for all three. This is interesting because the moon and Saturn coming together often bring up feelings of isolation, limitations, and depression, but the sun, Mercury, and Scorpio in a trine relationship with her as she is with Saturn feels like they are holding space for the moon. The sun is giving her support. Mercury may be providing merriment, and Mars may be providing the energy that she needs to deal with whatever tests, lessons, and hardships Saturn symbolizes. Because Saturn is in a trine with the sun, I feel this conjunction of the moon to Saturn may be less painful and more of a helpful limitation, like being allowed to pass through the gates because the boss knows your boss or something like that. There's pressure because the moon and Saturn are opposites in nature, but there's also a feeling of union at the same time, like being on the same team at the moment. At 11:56 p.m., the moon forms a sextile to Jupiter in Taurus retrograde. The moon is coming up on Jupiter and may be like, did you see that? Saturn just let me pass unscathed. There's a small possibility for rejoicing on Tuesday night with this transit, like being thankful for another day on this beautiful planet. Wednesday, October 25th, 2023. The moon. On Wednesday, the moon is in Pisces all day, so we may continue to feel dreamy, emotional, and grateful all day. The transits. At 5:51 a.m., the moon opposes Venus in Virgo, symbolizing a moment where we may be questioning our values, relationships, and financial situations, and make some necessary adjustments in our hearts about those things. We could have been living in a kind of fantasy world about something, and now we are looking at the reality of the situation without any rose-colored glasses, and we may see things for their true colors. Throughout the day on Wednesday, the moon makes sesquiquadrates to all the planets in Scorpio right now, the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, indicating delays and setbacks that are creating some friction along the path. In the late evening at 10:22 p.m., the moon in Pisces conjoins Neptune, and we may feel the urge to put our rose-colored glasses back on and check out for the evening. Whatever setbacks you've experienced for the day may be aggravating and testing your patience, and by the nighttime, you may want to just relax in an Epsom salt bath, watch a movie, or whatever it is that you do to unwind and take a load off after a long day. Thursday, October 26, 2023. The moon. On Thursday, the moon ingresses into Aries at 6:01 a.m., so we may feel the energy shift from the very creative, musical, and talented Jack Black to the leader of the pack, Steve Jobs, who has his natal moon at 7 degrees of Aries and co-founded Apple. We are no longer satisfied to stay in the dreamy, intuitive world any longer, and we may wake up ready to take action, lead, and be a pioneer. Aries is confident, takes initiative, and likes to be first, and oftentimes denotes very driven, inspired, and pioneering individuals like Steve Jobs. With the Aries moon influence coming in on Thursday, you and others around you may feel more enthusiastic, gung-ho, and mission-driven. The transits. The moon will be making quincunxes to all the planets in Scorpio all day, so this could create a very odd feeling to the day. We may want to take action, but the energy just feels off, weird, or surreal. In the late evening on Thursday, Venus forms a quincunx to Chiron at 9:10 p.m., further emphasizing the weird feelings. It's like we had a dream on Monday that was odd, and then by Thursday we realized what it meant, and it feels even weirder, like two gods fighting over a parking space. It just doesn't make sense or follow the rules of physics. I actually did have a really weird dream on Sunday night involving a haunted house that was being haunted by my toddler's evil twin. Maybe Thursday I will have some insights on that dream. Think back to what you were wrestling with on Monday when Venus and Chiron were in a hidden conjunction called Antisha with each other. Now that they are in a quincunx with one another, there may be more of whatever came up on Monday coming back into your thoughts and feelings. This transit is an opportunity to release the things that are not fitting into your life according to your values and make more room for the positive things that do fit in. Friday, October 27th, 2023. The moon. On Friday, the moon is in Aries all day. This continues to give us the energy and initiative to get projects off the ground. The transits. At 3:20 a.m., Mars forms a sesquiquadrate to Neptune in Pisces retrograde. Mars and Neptune coming together can bring about a decrease in energy or the feeling that we want a dream or fantasy to come true for some selfish reason, but there's no way to make an actual dream that you had come true, right? Neptune in Pisces would beg to differ and thrives to push all the boundaries of logical thought. However, the sesquiquadrate means delays and friction, so this is a no from the reality police. Things that you are dreaming about, be those actual dreams or dreams in the tangible goal-driven sense, may not be going along as smoothly as you'd like, and there may be some aggravating delays. Mars is getting closer and closer to forming a trine to Neptune, which will happen when the Sun and Mars conjoin and trine Neptune together on November 17th, 2023. So there is this sense that your efforts are not in vain. Whatever premonitions, predictions, and dreams that you have been having may actually come true, but do remember that this is Mars and Neptune, so this could indicate easy deceptions, illusions, and swift chaos as well. We will get into that transit as it gets closer. At 9:59 a.m., the moon in Aries conjoins Chiron in Aries, representing the skin of our fragile egos being a bit tougher and rougher, because we don't have time to be an emotional mess, right? By the end of the day, the moon conjoins the North Node in Aries at 11:13 p.m. This conjunction will amplify and increase our insatiable needs for freedom, independence, and trailblazing. We could feel very empowered with this transit to set fire to the things that are in our way, or to go forward with our goals and plans without a care in the world about how it may affect others. So I feel the caution is to think before you speak, step, or take any action, and make sure that you won't be burning anything down as you forge ahead. Otherwise, there could very well be casualties. The moon conjoining the North Node could also represent an opportunity to start something new, but I would caution against that with the lunar eclipse the very next day, so maybe sit on it for a while until after the eclipses are over and then take advantage of it. The weekend. Saturday, October 28th, 2023. On Saturday, we have the full moon lunar partial eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes at 4:24 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be posting a deep dive into the lunar eclipse on Saturday with horoscopes for all 12 signs, so for this weekly forecast, we will only go over it in brief. The moon. On Saturday, the moon ingresses into Taurus at 7:44 a.m., so we may feel the energy shift from the very confident, hunter-like, groundbreaking Steve Jobs type of energy into the more sensual and practical natures of Mother Teresa, who had a Taurus moon in the 5th house of children. One of her missions in life was to mother all of God's children. I find this placement of her moon absolutely fascinating. So we are no longer satisfied to conquer, lead, and pave the way for ourselves. Now we must provide stability, nourishment, and security, not only for ourselves, but for those in our care as well. Taurus moon is adoring, kind, and possession-driven, taking whatever was started with the Aries moon and making it theirs to nurture, cherish, and protect. Oftentimes, the Taurus moon denotes a very passionate, caring, and mothering individual like Mother Teresa, who is an interesting case because she got rid of all her possessions to live in poverty with the poor that she was serving. She gave her life in service to others, which we can see with her Virgo sun in the 9th house of religion. Maybe we should do a deep dive into her chart. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. With the Taurus moon influence coming in on Saturday, you and others around you may feel more sensual, passionate, and interested in the essentials of life, as well as the items of luxury. The transits. Before the moon ingresses into Taurus, she forms a square to Pluto in Capricorn at 4:19 a.m. I feel like this is a really potent square between the moon and Pluto for several reasons. 1, it is so close to the nodes. 2, Pluto is moving in direct motion. And 3, it is on an eclipse day. The moon square Pluto can bring about very serious crises that challenge not only our personal survival, but also the survival of loved ones, especially women. This can be literal survival or emotional survival, but in the case of Aries and Capricorn, this feels like the survival of our identity, our freedom, and our sovereignty. So we can expect the energy to be very intense and even warrior-like, with the dispositor of the moon being Mars, who is in his traditional home sign of Scorpio, meaning that he is strong, robust, and domineering. This is the energy behind the moon, so she's willing to put up a fight for herself. Pluto is overcoming her in this square, meaning that the pressure and intensity of Pluto's might will be felt to the core of the moon, testing her willpower, stamina, and ability to withstand the immense density of Pluto. Then the moon ingresses into Taurus at 7:44 a.m., shifting the energy because the moon gains in dignity. Now in the sign of her exaltation, Taurus, she has more strength, power, and grit to push back the heavy rays of Pluto. At 10:15 a.m., Mercury in Scorpio makes a sesquiquadrate to Neptune in Pisces, retrograde, symbolizing a hiccup or setback in the messages or communications sent from the divine or from nature. This could also manifest as leaked information being pushed back under the elusive waters of Neptune in the hopes that you didn't catch a glimpse of it when it was above board. At 12:03 p.m., Mars in Scorpio perfects an opposition to Jupiter in Taurus retrograde. Mars is the planet of war, aggression, libido, death, and things that cut, and Jupiter is the planet of life, joy, fertility, union, and things that fertilize like bees. Something I find very interesting is that Mars and Jupiter are opposite each other in the exaltation fall scheme of the signs. When Jupiter is in Cancer, he is exalted and is a bringer of life, prosperity, and family. Mars is at fall in Cancer, the beginning of the summer, because life is flourishing. When Jupiter is in Capricorn, he is in his fall because darkness is dominant and death is more abundant than life. Capricorn happens to be where Mars is exalted because death and decay are ever so abundant in the beginning of winter. So we have a planet that represents death and destruction in opposition with a planet that represents life and abundance. This is a standoff, a tipping point, and a major dilemma between something being destroyed or something being created. A decision will have to be made that will either build something up or tear something down. This is really intense because Mars is very strong in his traditional domicile of Scorpio, whereas Jupiter is in Taurus retrograde, which is not as strong a placement for Jupiter right now. Mars may win this fight. This sentiment also fits the full moon energy, which is about celebrating something hitting its peak and then subsequently ending because it's time to move on to the next phase. Then we have the full moon, lunar partial eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes at 4:24 p.m., which you can see in the chart below. This lunar eclipse will be visible for most of the globe except most of North America and part of South America. You can find out if it will be visible in your area and when to watch it by clicking the link here. You can watch the live stream online here. A lunar eclipse is like a supercharged full moon and symbolizes, as I just said, something hitting its peak and then subsequently ending. We will go into this eclipse more deeply on Saturday with your horoscopes. In the late evening on Saturday, Mercury in Scorpio opposes Jupiter in Taurus retrograde at 11:44 p.m., joining in the duel. Mercury is very close to Mars here and is in Mars's sign, and I feel like this may mean that on an intellectual level, we will side with Mars on this one and decide to destroy, cut down, or remove something. This could also symbolize people feeling passionate about something they are willing to fight for and speaking passionately about it and having a debate or argument with an authority or a well-educated person about it. Sunday, October 29th, 2023. Sunday is pretty simple. We will still be feeling the effects of the lunar eclipse very strongly, and there are not that many transits to report on. The moon is in Taurus all day, so we may feel stubborn, passionate, and possessive of our things, our loved ones, and the things we hold dear today. The transits. Early in the morning on Sunday, the moon conjoins Jupiter at 2:36 a.m. This feels like, to me, we are seeking comfort in the arms of Jupiter. Whatever major events the eclipse has heralded for you, you may be looking to someone that you trust and feel safe around on Sunday for consolation and comfort. The moon and Jupiter coming together can mean more joyful experiences with family, children, and loved ones. It can bring prosperity, abundance, and a sense of union. So if nothing extreme happened in your life during the eclipse, because eclipses are wild cards, then this transit could indicate a very pleasant Sunday. The moon in Taurus opposes Mercury at 3 a.m. and then Mars at 3:30 a.m., both in Scorpio. Again, this feels like the moon is taking Jupiter's side. The moon represents our emotions, our families, and the general people of a country. So it seems that whatever fight went on yesterday, we are emotionally on the side of life, love, happiness, joy, peace, and unification. By mid-morning at 10:21 a.m., Mercury conjoins Mars in Scorpio, and this is where we could hear a lot of talk about war, fights, and aggressive news. Mercury and Mars in Scorpio could represent an announcement or an intense way in which we speak about our needs, desires, and ambitions. People could be more penetrating with the words that they use, or they could be more mysterious. There could be a lot of moodiness and edge as well. On Sunday evening, the moon in Taurus forms a trine to Venus in Virgo at 5:32 p.m., symbolizing a joyous time between family, friends, and lovers. This transit feels very positive and hopeful, like people are making an effort to make the best of it and have a good time. The moon ends the evening in a conjunction to Uranus in Taurus retrograde at 8:35 p.m., which is a bit of a jolt, a shock, or a wake-up call. Like after we had our nice evening of merriment with Venus, we get woken up with a cup of cold water to the face. Uranus brings unpredictable experiences, so you never know what it will be, but it will be something. And the conjunction could go either way, north or south, as they say. So just be aware that the universe is playing a wild card on Sunday night. Next week. Monday, October 30th, 2023. The moon. On Monday, the moon ingresses into Gemini at 11:07 a.m., so we may feel the energy shift from their very passionate, sensual, nurturing energy of Mother Teresa into the more detailed, curious, and inquisitive Sigmund Freud, who had a Gemini moon in the 8th house of death, rebirth, and other people's money. So we are no longer interested in providing stability, nourishment, and security, but now we want to know what makes people tick, why they do the things they do, and we may even wonder if it would be fun, interesting, or exciting to do those things too. The Gemini moon is very curious and wants all the facts, data, and statistics to look at, as well as she wants to wear all the costumes of everyone they meet just to try them out for themselves. It's the toddler asking why a million times, but in your own head, and it is also the toddler playing dress up all day, every day. I chose a toddler because the Gemini energy is very young at heart and embodies the curiosity of a child who has not had the curiosity taught out of them. Oftentimes, the Gemini moon denotes a very witty, excitable, and insatiable individual who talks a lot, but not always, and wants to understand what innervates the body, mind, and heart, and what motivates people to do what they do. With the Gemini moon influence coming in on Monday, you and others around you may feel more talkative, curious, and social. The transits. Before the moon changes sign, though, the moon in Taurus makes a sextile to Neptune in Pisces retrograde and a trine to Pluto in Capricorn. This means that there is a definite possibility of some pretty profound insights about life that come pouring out like water from a spring, and we may actually feel some sort of major pressure lift off our shoulders, like if the square to Pluto brought up survival issues and the trine to Pluto is the spring suddenly flowing and you have life-sustaining water to drink. After her ingress into Gemini, the moon makes an almost immediate square to Saturn in Pisces retrograde. In Hellenistic astrology, we would say that Saturn is overcoming the moon by square, and thus maltreating the moon, which is a very hard place for the moon to be in. This seems like some very heavy restrictions may be placed on us by an authority figure or older male that cause us to look at our circumstances in a different way. The Gemini moon is adaptable, flexible, and can easily move from one subject to the next or life situation to the next. And Saturn in Pisces is austere and stern because he's Saturn, but he is also like a spiritual guru because he is in the sign of Pisces. So it feels like some tough spiritual love here. Saturn is getting really close to stationing, and so he is slowing way down and only moving 28 seconds of arc per day. This also feels to me like the classic scene in whatever movie where there is a dying elder laying in their bed and they grab the arm of the main character and tell them something heartfelt and amazing, but equally hard to swallow, and then they pass away and the audience is left in tears. Whatever this means for you on Monday, the moon square Saturn right after a lunar eclipse with Mars opposite Jupiter feels to me like it is a very hard pill to swallow and could make for a very emotional day. The tarot spread. Let's move on to a 3-card spread for the week representing the past, the present, and the future. The first card representing the past is Queen of Swords. On this card, we see a queen sitting amidst beautiful blooming red roses. On her head is a gold crown with spikes. She wears a green dress. She holds in her left hand a sword pointing toward the sky. The Queen of Swords is about being clear, concise, and objective in your communications and actions. Queen of Swords is a queen who rules her land with a very severe, unwavering hand. She isn't someone to mess with or go against her laws with the intention of asking for forgiveness. As the card represents the past, I feel this means that we were approaching our situations from a very objective, business-like point of view. We could have been succinct, to the point, or possibly cutting with our words or actions. The second card representing the present is King of Cups. On this card, we see a king standing in front of a choppy sea. He holds a golden chalice and a staff of power. The King of Cups is someone who is able to handle his emotions in the midst of chaos. He is kind, compassionate, and has helpful advice. He is able to keep himself balanced by being emotionally detached. As the card represents the present moment, I feel this means that we are trying to manage our emotions, and we are doing a good job of it. It could also indicate that this week will be a week when this ability to master our emotions will be tested. So this card is a reminder that we need to be steady, stable, and detached this week emotionally. And the third card representing the future is 17, the Star reversed. On this card, we see a naked woman kneeling on the grass beside a stream. She is holding a water jug in each hand and is simultaneously pouring water on the earth and into the stream. 8 stars are in the sky with a very bright one above the woman's head. Flowers, trees, and a bird are in the background. 17, the Star, in the upright position represents inspiration, insight, and understanding, feeling mentally and physically healthy and being open to a new life, ideas, or concepts. The bright star above the woman represents divine guidance. This card also represents self-confidence, self-esteem, self-sufficiency, and talents that are recognized by others. When we have confidence in ourselves, we can fully radiate and express who we are, and the star within can shine freely. When we trust ourselves, we can see more clearly and be more spontaneous with our feelings. In the reverse position, 17, the Star card, can indicate a lack of self-confidence, self-sufficiency, or self-trust. As the card that represents the future, I feel that this means that we may be feeling fearful of the future and our ability to handle whatever curveball life throws our way. We could worry that we may lose faith in the divine or feel a sense of deep disconnection with the world around us and lose ourselves in the chaos of emotion. When the future comes to pass, this card indicates that you may wonder why such and such hardships happen to you or others. This card is a reminder that there is always a deeper lesson, meaning, or purpose to it all, and to not lose faith because you can always connect to the divine even in times of chaos and find strength. This card can also indicate a lack of inspiration and enthusiasm for your life in the future, and may be a reminder to seek purpose so that your days are fulfilling. And finally, the Star reverse could mean that in the future, you won't feel like you have any energy to take care of yourself. If this ends up being the case, then some self-care or time off may be what you need to refill your energy stores. So to recap, in the past, you may have been very strict, austere, and unforgiving. In the present moment, you are doing a good job managing your emotions. In the future, there is a fear of having the strength to support, inspire, or nurture yourself as you grow or go through hard changes in life. Focusing on self-care, staying connected to your spiritual center, and finding purpose in your day-to-day life may help with these feelings. In conclusion, for the weekly forecast, I want to share one of the songs I'm listening to on repeat right now by DJ Taz Rashid and Momentology called Bay from their album Back to Life. It is an instrumental, but I love it, and it is wonderful to listen to while dancing, doing yoga, or meditating. I feel that movement is one of the best ways to work through hard feelings, and with the moon being in Pisces this week and the inevitable walk through the emotion ocean, a song without words seemed appropriate to keep the energy flowing. Enjoy. Please let me know what you think about the weekly horoscope and tarot reading in the comments. I truly appreciate your feedback. I hope this is helpful. Until Friday, Astro Mommy. Thank you for reading or listening to the weekly horoscope. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. Today's cards were pulled from the Morgan-Greer Deck, available on Amazon. If you seek knowledge and enlightenment, the Astro Mommy newsletter may be right for you. Side effects of reading or listening to the Astro Mommy newsletter are common and include joy, jubilation, delight, happiness, gratitude, love, triumph, feeling in tune with the universe, experiencing deep insights, reflections, and contemplations, a lightened soul, a lighter step, feeling awake when others are asleep, illuminated, enlightened, having spiritual experiences, noticing repeating numbers, animals in nature, or songs on the radio that speak to you, getting vibes, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsmelliance, feeling like you know secret language, biophilia, crying tears of joy, emotional literacy, feeling lively, stable, exalted, having an auric glow, or feeling like you woke up on the right side of the bed have all been reported. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a very small commission. Thanks for listening.